some. Yeah, we'll do something bigger next. Please find a seat. Thank you. Yeah. I'm Diane Bernhardt, the president of Park City Rotary. Yeah, thank you. Park City Rotary and our sister clubs, Park City Sunrise and Park City Twilight, are all part of Rotary International, which is a global network of 1.4 million neighbors, friends, leaders, problem solvers who all are united to take action to create lasting change around the world, in our local community, and also within ourselves. So I would like to thank everyone in this room today for participating in this important public process. It's through this sort of civic and, most importantly, civil engagement that our form of government can be successful and effective. I'd like to open by recognizing our current sitting board, because it's not an easy job, because I have a friend who's on the board. So I'd like to have those who are here please stand so we can recognize you and thank you, because our community owes you a debt of gratitude. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for your gifts of time and your talent and for service to the education of our kids. In addition, I would like to thank the 4 candidates who are here today for raising their hands in service of our community and our children, and they'll introduce themselves in a moment. We also want to appreciate those who are pivotal in making this event happen, and for bringing it to the greater Park City area. So to our local media partners, Park Record, Park City Television, and KPCW, to Roger Crawford of Wasatch AV, and our club member Rich Fine for the AV setup, the Doubletree Hotel and its general manager and club member Tony Moody, and club member Tom Kelly of Tom Kelly Communications for putting together today's program, and to Ari Arnidis for taking care of today's logistics. So before turning it over to Toria Bernhardt, today's moderator, Michi White just has a moment. She'll be saying a few words about the recent passing of our friend and fellow Rotarian, Blair Fulner.
Thank you. Are you taller than me?
I am. Wow. Yes, I feel so.
Okay. We lost one of our warriors this week. Blair Fulner was 70 years old and died of a major stroke. He didn't suffer. Blair was a pillar of our community in establishing the voice of Park City, KPCW. He set the tone for what the station means to us in Park City. He also started candidate forums that are now a part of our election process here in Park City. He engaged the citizens, encouraged the citizens of Park City to be involved, or she, sorry about that. And so I've been meeting with her wife, Susan, and Susan's pretty overwhelmed, and their family's from out of town. So I have said that I and hopefully a few other club members would help put together a celebration of life for Blair. And so if you're interested in that, please get in touch with me. That would, be great. It's going to be simple, but she really wanted to have wine. So we'll have some wine and some stories and a celebration, and looking like it's going to be on Sunday. So more news to come, but thank you, and we'll miss her.
Thank you, Michi. Our special thanks to the Park Record and to Toria Bernhardt, sorry, that's my last name, Bernhardt, Toria Bernhardt for moderating today. Toria joined the Park Record in January of this year, and as she is the reporter for County News after 3 years of award-winning coverage of government and business and education and public health in Ohio. Thank you, Toria. Thanks. Please give a round of applause for Toria. I'll get this debris off for you.
Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me okay? Great. Nice to meet you all. I am Toria Bernhardt. I'm the county reporter with the Park Record. We have our 4 candidates here today for Park City Board of Education. Just how this is going to work, I have 4 questions that I'm going to be asking each of the candidates. First, they're going to introduce themselves. You guys will have about 90 seconds to answer each question. And then at the end, we're going to open it up to our audience if you guys have questions for either all of the candidates or specific candidates. So first, we're going to start with Incumbent Erin Grady, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Perfect, yes. First off, thank you guys so much for having us here today. My name is Erin Grady, and I really want to thank the Rotary for hosting. I had the pleasure of growing up in Park City. My husband and I have chosen to raise our 2 children here. 5 years ago, I joined the Park City School Board of Education and am currently the sitting president. Since I have been on the board, we have strategically maneuvered through master plan and last November overwhelmingly passed a $50 million bond. I was part of the team that negotiated the largest raises for our educators and helped the district navigate through the COVID-19 pandemic. I am passionate about our students and teachers, success and well-being. My next 4 years, I am committed to continuing to refining the district's communication and to ensure transparency and collaborative methods. I'm excited to see the master plan through and complete the realignment, including reassessing our strategic plan to ensure it continues to reflect our district and community values. The mission and vision of the district is to inspire and support all students equitably to achieve their academic and social potential. I believe that my passion and commitment for our district has shown over my past 4 years on the board. I also know we as a community can continue to move this amazing district forward. Again, thank you guys for having me here today.
Running against Erin Grady is Nick Hill.
All right, thank you. Firstly, just to echo the thanks to everyone that's here. It's a great opportunity to connect with people. So I'm Nick Hill. I'm father of 1 son, a 3rd grader at Parley's Park. I am a naturalized US citizen, obviously not a native. I've lived in the US for about 15 years, right about a 3rd of my life. 8 of those years here, but I've been coming here since 2005. Professionally, I'm a project manager with over 20 years of experience working with diverse groups of stakeholders at all levels of organizations in various industries. Relationship and stakeholder management, communication and leadership skills are critical in my professional life and equally valuable here to achieve positive outcomes for the school district. I also have a master's in organizational leadership from CU Boulder. I'm running for the school board because I believe in the district's potential. I moved here in large part because of the school district. It's a good district. It used to be an exceptional district. We have amazing, passionate stakeholders. We have great teachers, smart, talented students. We have the financial resources to be near the top statewide in funding per student. We have great local organizations to partner with, like the Park City Institute, for instance. Obviously, we do some things very well. When you look at online ratings like great schools, it's clear we do an excellent job preparing kids for college, for example, though they also highlight big disparities in achievement with low-income and underserved populations. On the district website right now, we're still highlighting rankings from 4 or 5 years ago, but that's not quite where we are. On School Digger, which is based on State Board of Education reported test scores, you have to go down to 38th to find the first of our elementary schools. Our lowest is 177th in the state. They have the high school ranked at 14th in the state, for the record. US News and World Report now has the high school at 21st in state. We can and should be so much better. And to do that, I believe we need change in the school board because leadership matters. And the way the school board and the district administration operate is critical in creating a healthy, supportive, and productive learning environment.
Running in District 4, we have Meredith Reed.
Hi, thank you all for being here today. A lot of you I have the pleasure of knowing as a member of this Rotary, and it's an exciting opportunity to share my background and experience with the rest of you. My family originally came to Park City in 2009. We came here because my husband, who's here, was assigned to be the battalion commander for the recruiting battalion in Salt Lake City. I'd never come to Utah, but when we got here, we absolutely fell in love, like a lot of us have, with this town. We unfortunately had to leave because my husband was still on active duty, so we were gone for 6 years. We went to Belgium and then back to DC, and then came back here for good in 2017. So I have 4 children. Between these 4, between my oldest and our youngest, I've covered the whole spectrum, the full soup to nuts of Park City education between kindergarten and high school. My oldest is now at Westminster. So my professional background is I was also in the military as well. I served as a chaplain in the United States Air Force. I attended Vanderbilt Divinity School. I was commissioned prior to 9/11, but after that happened, obviously there was a lot of going on in our world, and so I served in DC and Ramstein in Germany and Lakenheath, England. I've been around the world helping people deal with difficult situations, and on a group level and on a personal level as well. So after I left the Air Force, I went into project management with the government. I worked on programs serving our military and veteran families, and I bring that experience here to serve on the board.
And lastly, Mandy Pomeroy.
Thank you. I'm a parent, I'm an educator, I'm an advocate. I'm a former elementary school teacher and teacher of the year. I am mother of 3 girls who go to school in the Park City School District. I have served my community as PTO president at Jeremy Ranch Elementary for 3 years. I am the chair of the Red Apple Gala, the Park City Education Foundation's flagship fundraiser, which raises hundreds of thousands of dollars every year that stay in our community and fund over 100 programs, our preschools, our art classes, our after-school care, having worked in higher education and volunteering in schools every week. I am experienced, passionate, and the only candidate with demonstrated commitment to our teachers, children, and administrators in the Park City School District. In April, board member Kara Hendrickson sadly passed away. Her seat became open immediately, and the board had 30 days to fill it. The other candidates I was running against did not choose to apply for the position. I did, and was unanimously appointed to the school board. I am completing the 2022 year, but am now running to run for the next 4 years. It's been a privilege being on the board since April, and with that said, our district is not perfect. We have things we can do better. We have a tough community. We all have our own lanes to be in, and part of the board is to make sure we stay in our lane. There has been justifiable criticism of the board's actions in the past, and I promise that with me continuing on the board, we will correct our course when we need to and double down on the things we do well. As a parent of school-aged children in the school district, I want to work with parents and ensure that our voices are heard. As a member of the school board, I want to work with fellow board members and make parents feel more involved. We are elected officials. We work for our parents and our students and our teachers. Parents should feel that we are working for them and with them in our best interest and our children's, regardless of their circumstances and backgrounds in life. If I am elected to the board, I promise to make this commitment to everybody in our community that I will bring all of my experience, my dedication, and commitment to the job every single day so that our children can achieve their potential in a happy, safe environment.
All right, first question is for all of our candidates. Between test scores, students' mental health, staffing shortages, and master planning, there's a lot happening within the Park City School District. What do you see as the biggest area in need of improvement, and how would you use your experience to address it? Start with Erin.
Do you want me to? Well, I don't know how you can prioritize one over the other. I think all of them are very important. Staffing shortages are not just something happening here locally. This is a national issue. As leadership, I have given direct guidance to our administration to make sure that we are actually opening up negotiations early to look at raising our educators' income again and make sure that everybody is on competitive wages. The master plan is something essential that the community has been working on for countless years at this part, but we are moving forward with that, and We have construction happening at every one of our schools. And absolutely, the mental health of our students and our teachers is essential, especially after what we came out of the last 2 years. And putting resources towards that, we have counselors in every one of our schools, and it is something that I am committed to staying focused on, especially with the mental health.
Thank you. Nick?
Yes, I mean, when I think about biggest priority, I think, there's a lot to work on, obviously. And I think it starts with an objective review of where we are. I started out by saying there are some issues there, right? We're not the top of everything. In many cases, we're not recognizing where we're actually ranked right now. And I think that we have to start from a position of saying, what do we need to address right now, okay? And I think that there are some things we know aren't quite where they should be. We know that diversity, equity, inclusion is an issue. We hear it from teachers. It's covered when you look at the rankings of the schools. I think that pay clearly is an issue. We have to be able to recruit and retain staff. But when we talk about pay, I think we have to be very careful of making sure we don't just think about it as the money in people's pocket. It's also about the culture of the school districts and whether they want to actually work here, even if the pay is right. If the pay is right and the culture's wrong, you'll hire people, but you won't retain them. And I think that when I've talked to teachers, who are leaving the area because they don't want to be in the district. Teachers are crying out for people to listen to them and to involve them. And I think that those are the critical things, because those are the people who interact on a daily basis, the staff with our kids. And that probably for me is where I would guess the initial priority needs to be.
Meredith, same question. What do you see as the biggest area in need of improvement, and how would you use your experience to address it?
Sure thing. A couple of weeks ago, all of us had the opportunity to talk with our educators and classified staff, and that group sent us questions ahead of time, and then each of us had 15 minutes on a Zoom meeting to answer with them. Those questions from those teachers were heartbreaking. They expressed frustration around the large non-DLI classes. They had questions about the financial transparency and how that works in our district. They explicitly stated that shared decision-making is a thing of the past in Park City School District, that they have been left out of the decision-making, and they decried the lack of leadership and support. And so my number one priority is our teachers and making sure that they are treated like the valued professionals that they are, to include our classified staff as well. We really need to take care of our educators and the people that are showing up every day to do the hard work in our schools. And we can do a lot better job of that as a district and as a community. And I would also echo that one of the problems that, as a real estate professional, having housing, I'm getting into a whole other big issue, but we need to work together to solve housing issues as well so that people can live here and be part of this community.
Mandy?
Thank you. As a former teacher, I think I have a special voice that I can bring to the table, that I was a teacher. I understand that side of the table. I understand their needs, I understand where they're coming from, and I hear their voice in a different way that others cannot. We definitely need to make transparency and communication better in this district, and we have talked about that over and over as a board. How can we do this? How can we communicate better? How can we share what is happening, and how can we include our community in that? And we've come up with some great ideas. I think going forward, we have some ways to improve that communication. The finances are all on the website. That's transparent. Everything is there and able for anybody to see who wants to see it. There's no hidden agenda in that area. Our communication is honest. We've hired a communications director, which I think will really help improve, again, some of these ideas we have to increase the communication between teachers, board members, administrators, and the community. That's a goal. We are not trying to hide anything as a board. We are trying to make everybody's voices heard, and we've given so many opportunities for that to happen. It's just, it needs to be, again, a community coming together to increase that communication.
Great, thank you. Leads me into my next question. Many of you have called for increased transparency and communication between the school board, school district, and members of the public throughout your campaigns. How healthy do you consider that relationship today, and how do you plan to repair or maintain that relationship? Meredith, we'll start with you.
Great. Well, as I mentioned, I really don't see our district communicating well with our local media to start with. The relationship with KPCW has been really strained this year, and a lot of us in this community, that's one of our prime sources of information about what's happening and what's going on. So I really think that one of the first steps to making things constructive and positive and being better communicators with our community is engaging with our local media. As it's been pointed out, there is a new communications staff person working for the district. I'm not sure how that person's being engaged. Having a multi-channel communication approach is really important because people get their information from different resources, social media, emails, local media, and I think a really comprehensive approach to that will be really critical in helping people understand what's going on in this community, because it's because of that that there's a disconnect, and then that creates a lack of trust, and we really need to repair that going forward.
Mandy?
Thank you. We have, as a board, as saying that, again, been on the board now for, 7 months. I understand the communication concerns, and I understand the methods that we are able to communicate with, and KPCW and some of the other local medias haven't always represented us honestly. So there's definitely some barriers and some things we want to work through, but I do know we want to open that communication again and let that be a method of communication within our community. One thing we've talked about at a board is possibly opening up, podcasts every week of a way to share what's going on. Emails are not always the most effective. The information on the website, again, we've communicated all, it's open. The minutes are on the website. The finances are on the website. All of those things are open and available to the community. Come to a meeting, hear about it. If you can't be there in person, it's online. You're welcome to watch it. Everything is posted, everything is transparent. So if you're not there and you have questions, come to your local board member. We're willing to talk. I mean, we're all open and having coffee and chat and share what's going on. So ask people, get the story. We're willing to share it, but I do think there's absolutely ways we can improve it, and we as a board are willing to work on that.
Thank you. Erin, next, same question. How healthy do you consider the relationship between the board and the public, and how do you plan to repair or maintain that relationship?
So again, I want to say that I do not think that the board in the district has been perfect. We have been probably through a few of the most challenging years that we have ever seen. And as far as transparency, that is 100% something I am dedicated to. There are no hidden agendas. We definitely are limited as board members to say certain things at certain times. We take an oath of office. We are there to uphold policy, budget, oversee the superintendent and the business administrator. So we are limited sometimes, especially when lawyers and lawsuits are handed to us. It's not about not being transparent. It is about our lane and what we are able to say and not say. But that being said, I would echo Mandy. I am 100% available anytime to have a conversation. I have had multiple conversations and am open to communication with KPCW, the Park Record, the Town Lift. We put out newsletters, we email constantly, and there's information on our website, but to not be transparent is not an intention that we have as a board.
Thank you. Nick?
Yeah, so I think when you ask how healthy it is, right now I don't think it's healthy at all. I think we heard it loudly and clearly from the Education Association members. I think we hear it from the community. I think that it's easy to say that people can go out and find this information on the website, but we just created a new website, and it's harder to find the information than it was on the old website. It's easy to say people can come to board meetings, but a lot of them can't. They're working or they're doing whatever. The way we record or broadcast those board meetings is terrible. I mean, that needs to be improved. I think that, you know, there are simple things we can do that really will show that this is taken seriously, and we're not just paying lip service to public comment and communications and things. Delighted to hear you're looking at podcasts. What about other technology options? I mean, we live in a world where we have incredible technology options to meet people where they are and communicate with them. We need to, I believe, fundamentally change our attitude, or at least the way it's perceived. And that means creating in-person challenges to let people, opportunities for people to come in and communicate openly with the board. I love what Nan Worrell's doing in Park City, where she's got these monthly sessions for people to come in to communicate with the board. No reason we couldn't do something like that. So I think there's a lot that we can do, but finishing, you know, the problem is it's broken a trust right now, and we have to fix the communication to fix the broken trust.
Thank you. Our next question is about HB 374. So the Board of Education is scheduled to take up House Bill 374, a law that was passed earlier this year that defines sensitive teaching materials and prohibits what can be taught in schools after weeks of discussion. What are your thoughts on the policy, and what role should the school board play? Mandy, we're going to start with you.
That's a tricky one. We are voting on that this afternoon. I can't say a whole lot about it, because if I do say too much, I'll have to be recused from my vote this afternoon. But I can say that we as a board are hearing the voices of the community, we're hearing the concerns, and we're taking all of that into account and doing our best as a board to meet the legislative requirements.
Okay. Meredith?
I feel like that this represents one of the places where not having a good relationship with our Utah legislature is a problem, and that when we stay in communication with our state lawmakers, that's beneficial to us, because that's a really critical place when we're having to respond to laws that come out from that body. So I think that the district has had a great policy in place that has served us for 30 years, and I'm sure on where the disconnect is between the state law and what the policy that we had that was in place that allowed a review for curriculum in place. I will just say from my experience, I do have connection with a lot of our state lawmakers, and I will use that as a board member to make sure that the needs of our community are represented at the state level as well.
Thank you. Nick, question is for you. What are your thoughts on HB 374, potential policies that could come from that, and what is the role of the school board?
Yeah, I mean, I think first you have to recognize that we are constrained by the state laws that are put on us. If you're asking me personally what I think about it, I think it's unnecessary, and I don't think it's a very good law, but that's not the point. I think Meredith makes a great point about the relationship with the state legislature. You know, I think that ultimately parents have a right to an opinion on what books their own children read. What makes me uncomfortable is the idea that they have a right to control what other people's children read. I think that no society that is actively engaged in book banning has ever landed on the right side of history. And I think that as a school board, we have to be at the forefront of fighting back against that. And it's difficult because we are constrained. But you know, now more than ever, I just think that we are in a point in history and an era where we need to back teachers. We need to let teachers know that we support them, that we will fight for their ability to teach our kids, to do the job that they trained for, that they are qualified for. That it's so important to them, and it's important to our kids.
Thank you. Erin?
So
Again, I am in a very tricky position when it comes to this question because we are going into our board meeting this afternoon where this will be discussed. So if you guys are super interested in hearing a very in-depth conversation about this, I suggest you either tune in this evening or try to come to the board meeting. Let me be very clear as a board member, it is not my job to ban a book or not ban a book. This is about making sure that we are following state law and policy and that we are in our lane with that and that we are covered. If we do not put something into place, we have the ability to have the state freeze all of our financials. So we will not be able to pay teachers if that is to happen. That being said, I'm just going to have to leave it at that. But it will be discussed this evening, and we've listened to all of our constituents. We have actually, it's one of the first policies we've opened up to have public comment on twice. So we made sure that that was happening, and we are listening to our educators. We are always listening to our educators.
Thank you. A final question for the four of you. The school district has faced challenges in hiring amid high housing costs. Parents are also struggling with other issues such as inflation, which contributed to the closure of the Park City School District Child Care Center last month. Please describe one step you would take to support district staff and parents and why it should be a priority for the school board. Nick, we're going to start with you.
Sure. Well, teachers, all staff, have to be paid enough to live in the area. I mean, this comes back to the first question that we had. I think there are concrete actions that the school board can take in this, and pay is obviously one of them. I think that resources like the childcare center are another one, and you know, I think that you can take actions without necessarily directly funding that. I mean, it would be great if we could find the resources to fund childcare for our teachers, but I think we can do it through partnerships. I think what teachers have to know and what all staff have to know is that it is a priority, and to see the board take it seriously, see the district take it seriously, and to try and put actions in place that will enable them to live close enough to their place of work that they can work there, to have access to the support like childcare that they need, and that it has to be a priority, because if we don't do that, we won't have staff.
Thank you. Erin?
So I think I mentioned earlier that we have actually asked the admin to go back and start a work study and open up negotiations early so that we can look at raising our educators. And not all educators, I'm talking across the board, bus drivers, our food handlers, anybody in the system, to make sure that we can bring them up. Housing is a priority for the board, and it's conversations that we are having with the county, with the city, to figure out affordable housing for our staff. And then as far as childcare, absolutely. So part of the master plan is to bring in some starting from 3 and up into our buildings. But early childhood, I sat the minute that the Park City Tots closed. That is not something that was part of the district. It's separate from the district. But we as board members and admin were in those meetings, making sure that we were listening and hearing and knowing what we can do to help support moving forward.
Thank you. Mandy, if you could please describe one step you would take to support district staff and parents and why that should be a priority for school board.
Thank you. I think the childcare issue, as Nick and Erin both mentioned, was sort of a whole separate issue. That's not our organization. It's not necessarily the lane of the school board. However, caring for our teachers and their families is. And we did everything to make sure that all of our teachers were taken care of and their children were taken care of and their needs were met so that they could continue in the classroom this year. In terms of the retention and the ESPs, which again, Erin has spoken to, there is a shortage nationwide, and that's real hard. Our salaries are in line, our our competitive salaries, our, the packages that the teachers receive, all of that is in line with similar districts in the nation. So we really are trying to be competitive and meet the needs of everybody. The shortage is nationwide, and that's real hard. That's not just Park City. That's not unique to us. And raising salaries is not necessarily going to solve the problem. That is a nationwide issue. Teachers are burnt out, not just in Park City. It's all across the district, or excuse me, across the nation. Our job is not necessarily to hire the teachers, but to direct Dr. Gilday into the hiring. And she has done a great job of trying to retain and keep all of the amazing teachers and staff that we do have here. So, oops, excuse me. The budgets are there, the salaries are there. The shortage is just reflective of something that's greater in the nation. So what we do need to do here as our board is to retain who we have, because we have amazing teachers and staff and ESPs. So keeping them in our district is our priority.
Thank you. Meredith?
Yes, as I started to refer to earlier, in September, the median sales price for a single-family home in Park City proper was over $3.7 million, and in Snyderville Basin, it was $2.5 million. So we've got big challenges that face our community specifically. We might also be experiencing challenges that are facing national teacher shortage, but we have to deal with them on a local level. We have to deal with them for our community. We have to find the solutions for ourselves. So even if we're engaging in problems that other communities are facing, we have to work together creatively to solve those problems here for us. And I think working with our municipal and county partners, as well as nonprofit organizations like Mountain Lands Community Housing and public-private partnerships that we can enter into and help really solve how do we keep our teachers and staff living here and being active in this community is really critical. So, and actually one of the teachers who left the district now works for Mountain Lands, so we have a great in there. There's natural relationships that we can benefit from that will help our community.
Thank you. At this point, we're going to open it to questions from the audience.
Yes, thank you for being here. This is a particular question for Erin and Ms. Pomeroy. I understand that even though we passed this large bond issue, that there will still be classrooms that are temporary classrooms. Why is this, and how can we change it?
As far as classrooms being temporary, that is not my understanding at all. We will be moving, every school is getting an expansion. So the high school is getting an expansion that will bring in the 9th grade. I believe it will be over 30 classrooms, and it will also allow space for our CTE to be in there. Ecker is having an entire new wing put on that will bring in the 8th grade, and then also another gymnasium to help with the expansion and flow for the cafeteria area in Ecker. McPullen and Jeremy Ranch will have the larger expansions for the elementary schools so that we can include wraparound services. So I guess the best example would be, let's say the Park City Health Clinic needed a space out in the Basin area to use on the weekends and do a special clinic. They will be able to go in and use that space there or at McPullen. And then we will also be expanding on Parley's and Trailside to expand those buildings.
I was told by a teacher from McPullen that 3rd grade would still be in 10th grade.
The plan is to move them all in, so that is not true. Yeah.
Mandy, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, Erin encompassed it perfectly. I can't promise what's going to happen during the construction phase, but once the construction is complete, the plan is for everybody to be in a permanent building without any temporary structures.
Yes. By way of introduction, Dr. Mike Andrews, proud principal of the finest school district and finest teachers in this state as of 1991, and a teacher as of, 1960 July. I have
And my principal through high school.
By heavens, yes, it's a while back. But I have two questions regarding teachers. In my judgment, we have never held teachers in lower esteem than at this time in our history. It's a travesty. Number two, the first question on that is, do you have any specific plans to help raise the esteem in which we hold our teachers? And secondly, I'd like to share a little fact with you. The average teacher's salary in Park City is $61,249. The median household income of Park City School District is $125,862, more than twice as much. So my question is very simple. Do you have plans, and in fact, do you even support moving the mean salary of our educators to this level so that they can afford to live where they teach? Thank you all.
Starting with Erin, you'll each get 1 minute.
Perfect. Well, I think I stated earlier that we have opened up a work study to move our educators' income up. I can't promise you exactly what that would be, but I would 100% support raising our teachers and across the board, our bus drivers, everybody needs to be brought to a different level. And as far as our educators' well-being and the way they are treated, I think this is something that's happening across the board nationally. This is not something here just locally. I think that we are really lucky here because we have the Park City Education Foundation, and since the very beginning of the pandemic, we as a board have been working closely in the district with them to ensure different programs to make sure that their mental health is top of mind in whatever programs we can put into place to help them.
Thank you. Nick?
Yeah, before I get into that, first just say the previous question I think speaks to just the problems that we have with communication and transparency, right? I mean, we wouldn't get a question like that if everything was communicated clearly and transparently. But specifically on teachers, you know, in terms of the wages, I think it's difficult. Do I personally advocate paying teachers at the median income? Absolutely. I think as a society we have to value teachers far more than we do, and education far more than we do. Can we do that in current budgets? No. So there's obviously a disconnect between what I think we should do and what we can do in terms of the budgets that are available to us. And that's a conversation that we need to have, and that, you know, as Erin's indicated, will happen. In terms of raising the esteem of teachers, I mean, first, let's listen to them, right? You know, they are screaming for people to listen to them, to be heard. That we heard it loud and clear when they asked us the questions back in the Education Association Forum. So I think it starts from elevating their voices.
Thank you. Meredith?
Yeah, I agree 100% with what Nick just said, and I'd also like to add that I'm the only candidate who's endorsed by the Utah Parents for Teachers, which is a group of community members who want to support our educators in Utah and know that when we support our teachers, our students and our communities thrive. And I'm also a member of the Raise Your Hand Utah Network, which is a grassroots nonprofit advocacy group working to change the odds for students across the state. So I'm working with other groups that are absolutely interested in this same issue that you raised, like how do we take care of our teachers? How do we improve the esteem? How do we as a culture and society make sure that they are valued and treated like the professionals that are essential to our community?
Thank you. Mandy?
Thank you. Again, I'll say I was a teacher. I taught elementary school for 8 years, so I hear the voices of teachers. I know their needs. I know what's happening in their classrooms and the conversations that are happening. I'm also a member of the Park City Education Foundation. I'm hearing what they're doing to help the schools. And more than anything, wellness has been the biggest initiative. And hearing those teachers and knowing their needs, how do we meet you? How do we support you? What do you need? So I have both of those angles, if you will, to bring to the table. I understand what the needs are and where our community is at. I think the teachers do want to be heard. I'll echo that. Everybody's said that. Do you need to understand what's going on in the classrooms? Absolutely. Do you need to know the biggest concerns? Do you need to know their challenges? Yes. You need to be there. You need to have your feet on the ground to know what's happening, where their needs are at, and to hear that.
Thank you. Do we have any more audience questions?
Yes, I have a question. First of all, I want to recognize and appreciate all four of you for being up there. I've been in the hot seat myself. I lost, okay? So, but it's no small feat throwing your hat in the ring and being in the arena and getting beaten up, and congratulations to you. I heard something, and it was, I'm not sure I understand it, and this may have to do with the transparency issue as well, or just my lack of understanding, but construction was started on, I believe it was McPullen Elementary School, and it was discovered that the school district did not have a building permit.
It was Jeremy.
Jeremy, thank you, okay. And it was just kind of astounding to me. I'm a builder that proceeded forward, and I think one of the things that troubled me the most is the contractor has been consistent, the same contractor with the Park City School District year after year after year. That's not a smart thing to do, just a bit of advice. And so, but I'm just curious, how did that occur? And my understanding was the job got shut down, and where are we with that? And how do you plan to handle that with the $50, $60 million bond?
Erin?
Erin, you want to do it?
Sure. Okay, so first off, I will say yes, we have used the same construction. We also have an amazing project management firm that we have hired to help us with this. We are the only county or district that is being held to the same standard. We have always, since history, been able to work in parallel conjunction as moving forward with the county and city with our permits to move our buildings forward. So that is exactly what our builders have done. It's what our project managers did, is they went in with their historical knowledge of building in 4 schools and moved those forward. That did not work. So just like if you are in building and you're a project manager, you understand there are bumps in a lot of roads. And we as a district and as a board pivoted. We made sure we got everything in line, and all of our permits and everything are now set, and that's why you are seeing movement at every one of the sites that should be online for now.
Mandy, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think Erin pretty well covered it, but again, I'll go through with it. The permitting and the construction have always been done in parallel. For whatever reason, this process changed this year as we were going through our construction process. Park City has been grandfathered in without any indication of change, and this year, things changed. So we as a district had to pivot. We did that. Our goal is to get back on track, to keep an eye on the budget and the timeline, and most importantly, to keep our kids safe. And that's been our goal as a board, is to keep our kids safe and get back on budget.
I think we have time for one more question.
A long, long time ago, I was asked to meet with a group of people in view of the fact that the school district was considering building an auditorium. We recognized that there was a need for an auditorium that could be used by the Park City Institute, by Sundance, and by other large groups that required such a facility. And I've heard rumors that there is troubled water in that relationship. Please assure me that the trust and the organization that helped the school district build that building and get the extra money that you needed to make it an amazing facility will go forward, and that the Institute and Sundance and the school will continue to share that facility.
100%. It is, Sally, it is always our intention to work with our partners, and we are moving all of those forward. So I love the rumors that come in this town, and I love that everybody wants to keep coming up with transparency, and we have a tendency in this community to run a mill with a few rumors here and there. That is not true, and we definitely value our relationship with the Park City Institute and all of our partners in this community, including Sundance.
Mandy, do you have
Yeah, sorry, Erin, you did it. I mean, this is not on. You did amazing. Yeah, exactly what I would say. We value that relationship very much and are working to keep that intact.
I see we have one more.
Thank you. I just wanted to offer perhaps a contrary view about the level of cooperation. I have been here since the late 70s. I work in the construction industry. I'm a builder. I'm a developer. I've master planned and built the largest projects in town. Over that period of time, I don't think I have ever had a year in which I have not heard that there was substantial disagreement between the building department and the school district in the way they prosecuted their permits, in the way they built their structures relative to the overall health, safety, and welfare of our children. And I think that everything that we saw this year was just a complete and absolute vindication of the fact that that's the way things are. You guys, I mean, your own goddamn school board from the state shut you down because you didn't have permits. You are reckless. You are not even responsible. No, that's a statement. It's a statement.
There was no.
Well, the question simply is, what are you going to do about it? I believe you're reckless.
Erin or Mandy, would you like to respond?
I don't know if it necessarily deserves a response, but I think that we have shown that we have pivoted, we have moved forward, and we always put our children and our educators' safety first.
Mandy?
We have done everything we have been asked to as a board, every step along the way. And yes, there have been some changes, and again, we've pivoted. I'm not sure how else to say that. We have done everything that has been asked upon us every step of the way, and we are complying. We want to be in compliance, and we will continue to do so.
And to speak back on what boards have done in the past, I cannot speak to that.
Nick or Meredith, would you like to comment?
Yeah, I would actually.
Great.
I think, it's easy to say, oh, we're in compliance, we worked with them, we did this, we did that. But the reality is, Jeremy Ranch got shut down after we had been told what we needed to do and didn't do it. And then we continued construction somewhere else, which also got shut down. So the idea that we're doing everything we should be doing, to me, is a little bit fanciful. And I find it, as a project manager, it hurts my heart that there aren't toll gates in place to make sure these things are done in the right order before you start construction. But I think that however it happened, what we need to do at this point is a full review to understand what went wrong, what was missed, how did this happen? And then we need to put in place things that are going to make sure it doesn't happen in future, because this costs money. You cannot have equipment and men and these things sitting idle without it costing money. So we have to recognize that, and we have to do something to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Meredith?
I agree with what Nick just said. I'd also like to add one other thing. I was really shocked to find out today that pictures of my children are on my opponent's campaign material. And I'd like to ask you to please stop using that.
Mandy, do you have anything in response?
We both have campaign material. You handed out pictures of your children on your campaign material, so it was referenced.
It's my children who are in this school district who are not your children. So please stop using their image on your campaign material.
We can have that conversation offline.
I'm having it right now with you. I'm asking you as a mother to please stop using my children's image on your campaign material.
I don't think that's what today is about.
I think as a school board member who is using images of children who are in this district, it is absolutely part of this conversation.
We're going to allow each candidate a minute to give their closing comments, starting with Erin.
Perfect. Thank you again for having us here today. Park City is my home, and I have been an active participant in this community for many years, and am deeply passionate about the future of this incredible town. Beyond my position with the Park City Board of Education, I sit on the board of PC Reed's and the board of directors for the Park City Chamber and Visitors Bureau. I have been through this phenomenal school district. I have helped see our district through the pandemic, and I plan to see the district through realignment. I grew up here, my career was here, I have chosen to stay and raise my children here. I truly love Park City through and through. Thank you to all the Rotarians for hosting us today, and thank you all for your support in keeping our district what it is.
Nick?
So first, just thank you to echo that. I mean, this has been great. You know, as I've been out and about talking to people the past few weeks and months, it's clear that the status quo is not working for a lot of people. It isn't working for the bus driver who told me she was so sick of the culture of the district that she's left for High Valley Transit. The teacher who told me they're leaving town to get away from the district. The frustrated staff who are too fearful of retribution to voice their concerns openly. All the parents who've told me they're pulling their kids out to Weilerman or private schools in the valley. The taxpayers who approve bonds for needed construction and see money wasted on completely avoidable delays. I believe there's a better way. We can support teachers and elevate their voices. Bring decision-making into the open. Hold people accountable when essential procedures are ignored that put children at risk and waste much-needed money. We can focus budgets on getting resources where they're most needed, into classrooms, rather than attorneys and administrators' pockets. We could be honest about the challenges the school district faces and rebuild the trust between the district and its stakeholders with transparent dialogue. That's why we need change in the board. That's why I'm running, and that's why I'm asking for your support and your votes.
Meredith?
I deeply believe in community collaboration. I am a member of a lot of different organizations in this community, and I see what great things get accomplished when we work together, talk together, share what's going on, share our challenges and our strengths together. And I really look forward to bringing that perspective to our school board. I'm passionate about serving our students and supporting our educators and ensuring that we're providing a world-class learning environment across our district. And we're only going to accomplish that by building trust and collaborating with our community stakeholders. And we can meet that goal. We can do the things that we want to do to make sure that we are doing the absolute best we can for our teachers and our children in this district. And we're going to accomplish that with transparency and communication and truthfulness.
Mandy?
Thank you. There is no I in board. We need to come together to represent our school district. We need team players who are willing to come together and represent our district. I am that team player and hope to be able to continue to contribute to the board's vital work. I'm an unaffiliated candidate running to be reelected to a nonpartisan office. I will represent every sector of our community without fear or favor. I'm a parent, not a politician.
Diane, do you have any closing comments?
I'd like to thank the entire school candidate group and the school board and Dr. Gallaudet for joining today. And in your honor, we donate, to all our speakers, we donate a book to the Park City Library. This one is called This is School. What did I say? Oh, I think it's been approved. I do not think it will be banned. Because this is the first paragraph. A school isn't just a building. It's the students, the teachers, the helpers, the principals, the staff, and the librarians, all the people who work and learn to celebrate together. A school is a place for discovery and asking questions. It's a place to explore, to try, and to sometimes to fail, but also to trust. It's a community for sharing and helping. A school is a place to come together. I think it's really appropriate. Thank you so much.